but you were recording.
Now you're
Hopefully-
recording.
Yeah, but hopefully we won't have to check. For the listeners home, as long as we don't edit anything, Joe can just post it.
Because I can't edit because I'm retarded. That was a subtle dig.
I didn't say anything.
By the way, can I tell the story? I just gave one of your bits to Louis C.K. Like he asked me and I was like, take it. That's good. I had no idea because he heard like the tail end. He just heard that's the only way I can come. And it made him think of a bit. Yeah. And he's like, is this his bit? Is this the bit? And I was like, nah, that's not his. That's yours.
But did you know that it was the same joke?
No, obviously not. I wouldn't just give him your bit. But that's what was funny. He called me the next day and was like, yeah, you just told me I could do his bit.
So the joke is just, it's crazy how quickly we've adapted to everything. Like before, in the beginning, I used to hate getting a COVID test. And now it's the only way I can come. And that's it. And then he came up to me like the other day at the show and he was like, I thought he was fucking with me because he comes up to me and he goes, hey, I heard the tail end of a joke and I want to know, I thought of my own joke. I want to know if it's similar. And he just did the same joke. And I thought he was doing like a comic razzing you where they pretend they thought of their own thing, but it's totally yours,
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, sure, you can take it. But I thought he was joking. Like he was
right.
I was like, yeah, sure. It's completely different. Like that was the joke. I thought we had a rapport. I was very wrong. And then he went, and then I'm like, oh, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, I only heard the tail end. I'm like, no, that's the exact joke. But then he's like, oh, no, you can obviously, never mind. I did it like once. I'm sorry. But I kind of wanted to be like, well, I mean, I've stolen everything from you. You can have the joke if you want.
Yeah, he did.
I stole my whole act from him. So I'm like, take the throwaway.
Yeah, he did. He just had your bit for a day. But the best part is that he asked me, and I was like, nah, that's you, man. That's all you. So I guess I just don't know your act that well.
Well, that's fine. But what's really fucked up is that I also, when I thought of that joke in my head, I think part of me was like, feels like a kind of Louis type joke. You ever have a joke where you're like, it feels like a certain type of comedian's joke?
I feel that way with every bit. Because it's like the old thing, like steal like an artist. I mean, like, Led Zeppelin is doing, Led Zeppelin's a weird example because they're just straight up thieves on a lot of stuff. But like a lot of, most artists are doing some version of something.
In my head, I'm always like, just doing a different comedian. And I'm just hoping it sounds different to everyone else.
Yeah, that's how art works.
That's how art works. Okay.
Yes,
well,
I mean, the Pearl Jam is just doing, fucking the Ramones, and the Ramones are just doing Woody, the MC5. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what it was. So like, I felt like I kind of written a Louis style joke. So in a way, I feel like he was just stealing from himself. Like he just heard the tail end of a joke that he would have like kind of written that way. You know what I mean?
Right. We got to try to have you not say any T words. I feel like it's going to trigger all the comments.
What's the T word? Oh, just
T words in general, the written.
Oh, the it's a speech impediment. It's a very specific speech impediment.
Is that an impediment or is it just?
Well, it's a weird thing, but it's going to be all over the place today because we're talking about Manhattan. That's the one where I hit the T the most.
So what's interesting, why it doesn't feel like an impediment. An impediment feels like, like you're like a little retarded, your tongue's swollen or whatever. This just feels like an interesting.
I mean, I don't know. What do you call it? I mean, I have a lisp. You hear it, right? My lisp.
I guess so. I don't hear Kill Bill's, but I hear yours.
Which you were, by the way, all the YouTube comments agree with me. But anyway.
No, that's not true. Half of them don't agree with you.
One guy was like, Raanan's a fucking idiot, fat Jewish piece of shit. No one could just be like, I disagree with you anymore.
No.
He's just like, Raanan's a fucking Jew who should be in Auschwitz. He doesn't have a lisp. And then that same guy recommented, oh, just rewatch it. He totally has a lisp. No apology for all the horrible things he said about me. He just commented that.
Well, I thought I saw a couple, but maybe I'll rewatch too. Maybe he's got a lisp, I guess. I don't know, but
I have the lisp and then I have the overemphasizing the T. I don't know what it is. It's just it's a what else could it be but an impediment?
I guess so. I don't know. It's you're not good, but
I don't do anything correctly.
No, you do stand up great. You got Louis stealing bits from you, and you're fantastic.
But I am very Jewed out from watching these Woody Allen movies today. I can't even be my full Jewish self because I'm just so I'm just worn out from it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, it's funny because Sarah, we were watching Manhattan a moment ago, and she's like, I don't know how this woman could put up with this. And I'm like, I think it's pretty much like me. Like, it's just hilarious to hear my wife be like, how can she deal with such neurosis? And I'm like, oh, geez.
And you're like, is this a mole on my back? Can you look at this?
I mean, I relate so much. I don't even know. This is going to be difficult for me
tough.
because I have so many feelings. These movies, especially the three we're doing, have been such a massive part of my life. And it's almost like we're back to the beginning of the podcast talking about Field of Dreams and Ferris Bueller.
I know.
These are so deeply personal to me. I've been obsessed with them for 25 years.
Except I'm now also like Field of Dreams doesn't mean shit to me, but Woody Allen is a huge part of my identity. It's kind of like the Louis thing, where it's like, we're both just doing Woody Allen. Like Woody Allen kind of created so much of our mentality. So it's like now all the shit's coming out about him, or not now, it's been out for a while, but it is tough because like it is kind of how we perceive the world. Like for me, my two biggest heroes growing up were Dylan and Woody Allen. You know,
same.
Two Jews, by the way.
Yes, I'm familiar. What?
But so it's like, it is crazy. I mean, Woody Allen got me into comedy. Like when I was in high school, I read, my friend had a Woody Allen book in his on his bookshelf. And by the way, Woody Allen's prose is honestly, I think, the funniest thing he's ever done. Like it's the funniest writing. Like it's just laugh out loud, hilarious. But I remember I read a line in one of his books, and it was like the first time I saw just like an amazing joke. And I got into comedy after reading like a Woody Allen story.
Yeah, no, those books are fantastic. His stand-up still holds up. He's amazing. On my Mount Rushmore of stand-up.
Incredible stand-up.
He's yeah, I just think he's the greatest. And his films, I mean, that's one of the things, along with the TV show Seinfeld, made me obsessed with New York and the Upper West Side and wanting to be smart and a comedian, and it shaped my whole life.
But now it's all this thing with the documentary. How do we even do this today? Do we talk about the documentary? Do we talk about that last? Do we talk about it in relation to the movies? I mean, we can't ignore it.
I mean, we could ignore it if we're just talking about his art, but I mean, we could talk about the documentary a little bit. You know, what's funny? We touched on this a little bit, and I didn't want to fuck kids until Woody Allen. He was the first one. That's a joke. Don't cancel me. But the doc, what's so amazing is I've been so enamored and obsessed with Woody Allen's work my whole life that this documentary, I'm thrilled just to see behind the scenes Woody Allen stuff that I never see. Like seeing him at the house, I'm like, oh, look at him at the house. Like I've never seen him with the kids. It really is like, and then they put together like a clip show of him, and you're like, he's the greatest. It's difficult. I'm having a hard time with it.
Let's talk about the documentary for a second, because the worst part is, you're totally right. The worst part of the documentary is like, look at this evil man, and then it shows like the funniest clips. It's like it's trying to fuck with you. It's like, look how evil this guy is, and then it shows him like blowing the cocaine and Annie Hall. It's like, maybe don't pick like the funniest clips if you're trying to point this message, because now I feel like a dick laughing. I'm like laughing hysterically at home.
No, I know, and the clips make me like, I'm gonna go watch those movies because I love them. Here's the thing with the and it's hard to talk about this like on the record because I feel like that we're gonna get shot and buried alive.
But we got to talk about it. I mean, we can't just talk about his movies as this isn't part of it. You know what I mean? Now we got to talk. Let's talk about the doc first for a little, and then we'll go into the movies.
Yeah, I think we are already doing that. But so first, as the time we're recording this, only one episode has come out of the doc, and there's 3 more. I think they're going to reveal a video of Dylan when she was 6 that's online now circulating. I haven't watched it, but her talking about, you know, we have a secret and daddy did this or whatever. But it's, by the way, they're using clips from the book in the movie. And I think the publisher is suing HBO because you're watching it, I'm like, I can't imagine Woody signed on for that.
I know. I was like, did he give him the rights for that? Like, yeah, that seems like a weird thing for them to be able to use. I was very surprised by the legality behind that, but I guess apparently it was not legal, probably.
They are suing from what I heard, but I try to, and I am biased because for all the reasons we've said, I am obsessed with Woody Allen. I love Woody Allen. He's meant so much to me. So I so desperately want the Dylan accusation to not be true. Obviously, right. The Soon-Yi thing is fucking creepy. I mean, there's no defending.
No one's debating that. He definitely married Soon-Yi.
Yeah,
like,
he did.
He married Soon-Yi.
They stayed together, which is something.
I mean, I guess it's like you're a pedophile if you're like married to the kid now that she's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
Well, she was 20. There are some things you have to be fair about.
Yes,
she was 20. So pedophile is tough. She's 20 years old.
It's such a complicated story because they both can kind of look both ways. It's like on one hand, he's being accused of molesting his 7-year-old daughter, and I'm like, well, like. You're like, well, the fact that he's fucking his other daughter or a woman he was some kind of caretaker of seems like proof, but at the same time, they are, just because you fuck a 18 or 19-year-old doesn't mean you're a pedophile.
No, it doesn't even
We
come
all
close
want
to
to
meaning
fuck
that.
18-year-olds. We just don't do it.
I'm actually not particularly attracted to 18-year-olds, honestly. I like older women. But it doesn't even mean you're close to it. I mean, this is where it gets tricky with language. I mean, like, there's no pedophile, maybe a pedophile, kind of a pedophile. If you're having sex with a 20-year-old person, you are, by definition, not a pedophile.
You're not. And if even 17, it's a different term for it. But you also don't want to be the guy, like, correcting people.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. And yeah, this is all troubling stuff.
All bad.
I don't think
all
we'll get
bad.
canceled. We're having a conversation. But there is fucking a 16-year-old does feel like a lesser crime than fucking a 7-year-old.
Yes.
Both are immoral. I have no desire to do both, yada, yada, all the disclaimers. But one person does feel particularly more sinister than the other.
Right. Of course. I mean, yeah, like the vagina is so much smaller.
Well, now we're getting into weird. Jesus.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, it's evil, but yes, I mean, I guess the question is, Woody Allen is like, for me personally, like, I think what he did with Soon-Yi is so awful that I don't know about the other thing seems so weird and complicated, but the Soon-Yi thing is awful. He just like, Woody Allen seems to have this problem where, like, when you married Sarah, right?
Yes, she was 58. I just went really safe.
But there's just kind of an implicit idea that now that you've married her, you're probably never going to have sex with her mom or her sister. That's just what happens when you marry someone or you're dating. There's certain people around you can't fuck anymore. That's just the way it is.
All the people I can't fuck, because I believe in my oath
you literally can't fuck anyone now. But out of all the people you can't fuck, the worst to fuck would be like her mom or her sister or her child. You can't fuck those people. So Woody Allen seems to not have that ability to distinguish. He seems to keep it all in the family.
Yes.
And that seems like a very weird behavior. And you see it in Hannah and Her Sisters. You see it. It's like a weird, I don't know. It's like he just wants to fuck everyone involved in the person he's fucking.
Yes. Interestingly, in almost all of his movies, you almost never see Woody or people later playing kind of the Woody role, Owen Wilson or Ben, whatever the fuck his name is. Whoever, you almost never see, not Ben, what's his name? Jason Biggs, whoever, all those guys that kind of play the Woody role later. You almost never see Woody just walk up to a woman he's never seen before and make a move. No. It's always his friend's wife, his friend's girlfriend, somebody, his secretary, his daughter, whatever it is.
They're all connected. He does not go outside. He's not into like dating apps. He does not go out of the social circle. And it's true. Like when you read his memoir, at one point he literally says, I dated Diane Keaton. And a couple of years later, I dated her other sister. And then a couple of years after that, I dated her other sister. It's like, stop fucking everyone in the family. Like it's a problem. And he literally fucked everyone. It seems like he fucked everyone in like Mia's family. And it's Dan Perlman sent me a picture of him with the whole family. And he said, he is actively attracted to everyone and every female in this picture right now. And it was him and Mia and Soon-Yi at like 18 and like Dylan at like 7 or something. It's just like it's a weird thing. It's very bizarre.
Absolutely weird, very weird, inappropriate. And yeah, Michael Caine and Hannah and Her Sisters, which we're going to get to, is similar. And it's that thing of like, I'm attracted to this person, so I'm going to try to fuck them, even though I most definitely shouldn't. Michael Caine fucking his wife's sister, Woody fucking his wife's daughter or his girlfriend's daughter.
Well, let me ask you this. When you watch Michael Caine and Hannah and Her Sisters, like me watching it now, I'm kind of like, this guy is such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the movie doesn't seem to be aware he's a piece of shit. It's like almost really? Like, I feel like the movie's kind of like, yeah, he's just like, I feel like the movie just shows him as a guy tangled in his emotions. But like, isn't that kind of just fucking psychopathic behavior? Like to just have an affair with a woman's sister. Like if you had an affair with Sarah's sister, right?
Yeah. I'm listening. I did a bit about it.
I mean, no one would be like people would think you're like just a sociopath, wouldn't they?
Yes, I see. I don't perceive the movie that way. I guess we're jumping into Hannah and Her Sisters, but I don't perceive it that way. I perceive the movie as like, and Sarah and I just watched it, and I don't think she had ever watched it all the way through. I think he comes off as a piece of shit. Like I think he's like a bumbling, dumbling dope who is just can't control himself and is making a huge fuck up. I don't see it that way. I mean, that to me is your interpretation, which means you kind of identify with him to some degree, I guess.
I think no, I think Woody Allen, I mean, he's basically Woody Allen, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's basically three. You want to just jump into Hannah and Her Sisters?
Sure. Well, they say you're always writing about yourself.
Well, yeah, and that's never more true with Woody Allen. And I totally do believe you can separate the art and the artist, but with Woody Allen, he's not really separating them two very well. So it gets into a more like sticky territory. Like when he wrote Hannah and Her Sisters and he gave it to Mia Farrow immediately was like, this is just you admitting you want to fuck my sister. Like she said that. They got in like a serious fight because she felt like that was just him admitting that.
But I assume he pushed back because it seems to me that it would be based on Diane Keaton. He had that idea because he already did that. He fell in love with Diane Keaton and then fell in love with her sister. So it's easy to go, what are you talking about? This is about Diane Keaton. Fuck off. Well, I mean, but if I sent my wife a script and said, here's a movie I wrote where there's a guy fucking his wife's sister, I'm sure she would be like, what's that?
But then he's like, it's not me though. I mean, yes, you will be playing the wife. And yes, your kids will be the ones actually in the movie.
Yeah.
And yes, we're going to use your apartment. And yes, the guy playing me is going to be this nebbishy guy, not like a funny version of me, but like a British nebbishy version of me. And the actual Woody Allen character in it is going to say, I really like that guy. He's a lot like me. Yes, all these things are going to happen, but I do not want to fuck your sister.
Well, a couple things. He wanted Jack Nicholson for that role. Did you know that?
Oh, for the
Michael Caine.
Interesting.
Which would have been totally different because Jack Nicholson would have been like suave and like sexy and cool.
Yeah, he wasn't going to have Jack play nebbishy, was he?
No, I think I don't know. He was going to have Jack
can't play nebbishy. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, I don't know. Like, I see, this is a difference that you and I have sometimes with Phil is you're always talking about the movie of like as the person wrote it. You're picturing a guy at his typewriter. I'm just watching the film and going, this is a guy about this. This is that.
Fine. And that's fine. But I feel like on these movies, we can kind of like, it's a little harder for you. I mean, I get that that's my style, but like for this movie, I mean, there's literally one part where I actually think it's so uncomfortably autobiographical that to me, it's not even art. It's just weird confessionalism where he's at the table with Mia Farrow and he's just like, you have your kids, you have your place in Connecticut. Yeah. And I guess it's just because watching the documentary, they had the place in Connecticut and he's like, you have your whole plan and there's no place for me in it. It does feel like Woody Allen's just literally using the movie to say things to Mia Farrow he can't say in real life or he's already said. It feels very weird and that's self-indulgent.
That's how and why art was created. That's the essence of art. That's what art is trying to say something you're having a hard time saying.
I think it should be, yes, but I think it should be hidden in some kind of imaginative way. At a certain point when he's listing shit about her, it's literally the person. Like your place in Connecticut, all your adopted kids. It's like you're watching, you're like, well, it just feels, it takes me out of the movie because it's so naked.
It's interesting. For me, you
didn't feel that with that part? You remember that part?
No,
right?
For somehow it's so hard for me to be taken out of a movie. And I had this discussion with Sarah watching Manhattan. She's just like appalled by that thing. I just watch a movie. I'm in the movie. I don't know. I just watch the movie and I'm going, yeah, this is the story. There's no part of me that's like, oh my God, this is actually about Mia Farrow. I'm just going, okay, Michael Caine's fucking his wife's sister and Woody's whatever.
And yes, I do. Yes, you're right. I do now. I know the information about like the fact that Mia Farrow thought that. And also in the documentary, in the first episode, you have him go out, they have the audiobook where he's reading it when he's 95. And at one point he just goes, I met Mia and her very attractive sister. I don't know if you remember that part, but yes, but like the movie itself seems to be aware of it. Cause at a certain point, Diane Keaton writes a book, a script, and Mia Farrow is really insulted because it has all these personal things. So the movie Diane Wiest. What did I say? Diane Keaton. The movie is very self-reflexive and seems to be aware of what's happening. And I guess I just can't watch it without, I guess because of who I know Woody Allen is, it's hard to watch and not just see Michael Caine, Woody Allen, and Max von Sydow as just different types of Woody Allens. It's the British nebbishy, not as funny Woody Allen, it's the cold genius taking a woman away from the world, Woody Allen, and then it's the actual funny Woody. It's just all three different Woody Allens.
Well, but of course, any movie that's written by it's written by this one guy, so everything is coming out of his head, and that's true of any film.
Yes, but I guess the problem I have with it is that, like, I think his view of like having an affair with a sister, like, I guess for me, like, I think for him, he sees that as something that's like wrong in kind of a I fucked up, made a mistake way, you know? And I'm watching it thinking it's wrong in like a psychopathic way. I guess I end up watching it going, I mean, Michael Caine is such a piece of shit that I don't even like, I feel like disconnected. And not to say you can't make a movie about a piece of shit, but it doesn't seem like the movie is aware of just how much of a piece of shit he is. Do you see what I mean?
I guess I see what you mean. I don't feel that way. First of all, I don't like discussing or movies in this way. We have such a different way of approaching film. Like I no part of me is thinking about Woody's private life and Mia and his relationship and whose house it was shot in. It's a film. I'm watching the film. I'm identifying with, you know, Michael Caine's character and Woody's character. To me, it's Mickey is the character, and Michael Caine, I don't know. I'm like, what do you think about the movie, though?
So you just ignore the fact that it's Mia playing Mia, and she's an actress, and it's filmed in her apartment, and she has a place in Connecticut, and it's her exact kids playing her kids.
I do. I ignore that.
You ignore that?
I ignore that Oscar Schindler's an Irish guy. I don't like. You know what I mean? I don't see it that way, and maybe there's something wrong with me, or maybe there's something wrong with you. I don't know. I just
I'm sure
watch
the douches in the YouTube comments will attack me for this, but like,
I imagine a lot of our fans have not watched Hannah and her sisters.
we're really distancing them. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is, and you're right. The allegations for me do make it tough because we watched Hannah and Her Sisters in Manhattan, and if you kind of combine them, it's kind of what he's accused of. It's like someone underage and also someone connected to the family. You know what I mean? Like the fact that like he's fucking someone that Mia is so close to, you know? But I also don't think the movie did a great job of showing what relationship Barbara Hershey had with Mia Farrow that would lead for her to be okay cheating on her, having sex with her husband. I feel like they could have justified more the bitterness and the anger and the tension in the relationship. And I don't feel like they explored it. There's like barely even a scene between them two.
Oh, she's racked with guilt. She's like, suddenly I'm racked with guilt just standing here. And it's because she's weak. Lee is weak. She's the weakest one. She goes from one relationship with Max von Trapp, or whatever the fuck his name is. Swedish guy. She goes to a relationship with him where he's literally telling her she needs to be controlled. She feels weak and hapless and hopeless. First of all, this is his, if we can get to the actual fucking film, this is, to me, his best film. It's an actual.
You think this is his best film?
I do. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's his best script. I think it's the most incredible acting. I feel like every single performance is pitch perfect. I feel like every character is relatable in some way. I think it's hilarious without any real bits and jokes, which we'll get to with Annie Hall, which I love. And it's gonna be hard to talk about Annie Hall without seeming like I'm criticizing it, but there's like jokes, like sketchy jokes in those other movies. Right. This movie is hilarious situationally. It's just perfectly toned, and it's so beautiful and so tragic. But back to my point, Lee, the younger one, she's not even able to think about Mia Farrow other than that she feels guilty because Max, the Swedish guy, who's great, she's just controlled by him. He's smarter than her. I need to teach you everything. She wants to be taught everything. And then she goes into Michael Caine, which is a similar role. He's like, I want to take care of you and show you and teach you. So she's racked with guilt, but she doesn't have the strength until the end because she grows and she's in AA. She's lost and fucked up. So she just gets caught up in this thing. And also he's giving her love in a way that obviously Swedish guy, Frederick, hasn't been able to give her. So I think she just gets caught up in it.
I guess it's hard for me to go around the sister thing. The sister thing seems just beyond just weak. The sister thing, like, seems just so fucked up. But even outside of that, I do want to say just overall, like, I don't like, so I love Woody Allen. I love his early comedies. I love Annie Hall. I don't like when he attempts to do things like Hannah and Her Sister, only because I don't, and you're going to think I'm crazy right now, but here it is. outside of comedy, when he's doing something more in this tone, I don't think he's a good dialogue writer. I
am blown
I actually
away.
think, well, all right, let me
blown
defend
away. I think he's the
myself.
number one best ever.
No. And
I know, I do think that.
Well, you do not think that. I think he's a bad dialogue writer. I think his dialogue is very vague and broad in a way where people in real life use examples and specifics, and the characters in his movies do not use specifics. They speak in these kind of vague terms. I'll try to write. I wrote some of them down to explain. Like he'll be like, this is a line. I forget who said, oh, it was the mother. He's ruined me with his ego, his philandering, his mediocrity. There's no examples. There's just vague terms. Everyone vaguely defines. Everyone's like, he's temperamental and he has trouble giving. He's this, is this. They try to basically tell the audience what to think about the characters. There's no subtext.
By the way,
subtext. What?
That's Mia Farrow's mother, by the way.
Oh, her real mother? Well, but yeah. Of course it's not autobiographical.
it's her actual mother.
But anyway, so I think all the dialogue is, there's like in real life, you say things on the surface about, there's like negotiations, you say things, and under there's subtext. And in this movie, all the subtext is right on the surface, so you don't have to think about it. Max von Sydow literally just says, "You are my only connection to the world." Like they just say exactly what you're supposed to think about the characters, and it's lazy writing. And he took it from Ingmar Bergman, a foreign film director whose dialogue is also just as vague, and he writes his dialogue like bad foreign film. All right, what about this one?
I'm blown away by that. Can I just say I'm blown away by this? And the Academy Awards or whatever, he is the most nominated writer of all time.
I think they're wrong. I think
writing is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like one person can write for this many people. This dialogue is so real.
I can't even believe.
I think it's like the best script I've ever seen.
Okay, here's another one. Does this not sound like just the worst, like just bad foreign film subtitles? When Barbara Hershey's walking in the dock, and they have her voiceover. The nights are getting cooler. Summer went by so quickly. Soon it will be fall. This is bad writing. No one talks like this.
Well, first of all, if it's bad writing, it's the character's not writing well. She's just talking. She's like,
there's nothing natural about it. It's like it's stiff, vague writing. No one speaks an it's like if we had a conversation and you were just like, openly just telling me, Raanan, you're holding me back, or Raanan, you've taken me away from the world. It's like so vague and obvious.
You think that doesn't happen in relationships? He's a controlling guy, and he's controlling her in that dialogue. That's such a well-written, perfectly toned.
Which scene? The scene with Max von Sydow and her?
Yeah, and he says you're my only access to the outside world. He's manipulating her. It's such an incredible depiction of a subtly abusive relationship. When she says, "I'm getting out," he's like, "You can't because of this." He's trying to manipulate her. It's perfect writing. It's unbelievably good.
I don't think it's perfect writing. I think in real life people use examples. They use examples for things. They don't outright say every little thing. It's to the point where there's no interpretation. You know exactly how she just says, "You're so withholding," and this, and everyone just describes every single person in these boxes, so you can so you don't have to figure it out yourself. You're the one who should be able to kind of figure out these things through the way people behave and through the way they act. That's the job of the writer, to use concrete examples and ways of negotiating where the audience goes, "Oh, that's his only connection to the world." You know what I mean? It could be more subtle than that. It's not subtle.
Can't even believe what I'm hearing. I'm like, this script, I'm like blown away by how good this script is, how real this dialogue feels, how like actual argument. I can't even think of an example of another movie that has better dialogue. What is an example that you think is pulling this off better than this film? Like, what are some scripts that are better than this?
I can name so many. Every Sideways, Sideways, Election, all these movies. They're not like telling everyone.
Sideways has that. I mean, I could make the exact argument for Sideways. Thomas Hayden Church. I just don't know if I want to be committed to her. You know, I mean, there's other women. I kind of want to fuck this woman. I mean,
but that's not the same thing. But they're not the whole time just saying exactly the kind of person they are to the other person. You know what I mean? They speak in like specificity. Her saying to Max von Sydow, "What do you get out of this? It's no longer sexual. It's no longer intellectual." They're saying the things under the behavior. They're saying the exact things. And I'm not saying sometimes people don't speak like that, but they also have moments where they speak with subtext, and there's no subtext in this fucking movie.
I just think you're wrong. I think you're insane. And it's also, that's a situation where a relationship is coming to a head. It's a breakup. So at a breakup, people aren't using subtext. They're saying what's going on.
Yeah, but I feel like the whole movie just speaks in that way without any, there's never like real, I don't know. It doesn't seem like believable dialogue to me, really, the movie.
I'm shocked by this. I really am.
I'm trying to write down some other, it reminds me, I don't know, have you ever seen like Bergman films?
Yes.
It reminds me of, like, have you ever seen Cries and Whispers?
No, I didn't watch that one.
It's this piece of shit movie where everyone, like, there's no details in the dialogue. And at one point, she's reminding her how they used to play as kids. And, like, she just said the line, like, remember when we used to play as children and then dusk fell? And it's such a bad line because in reality, you'd say maybe bring up a specific game they played. You know what I mean? But it's so vague. It's like the writer didn't fill in the details. I don't feel like in this dialogue there's ever details the way you have in a, you're really going to pop your head off that, the way they have in a show like Sopranos, which something, if you watch and see, is amazing specificity of details to explain the behavior.
I've only seen a couple episodes, but like that,
Sopranos
that's my big
hiding
issue.
Blows Hannah and her sisters out of the fucking water.
Now you're just pandering to the people. Now you just want the comments.
I actually do 100% believe that. I mean, I think Sopranos is the best show ever. So, but Sopranos specifically, I know we can't talk if you haven't seen it, but it uses such specific details of, like, one point the uncle is mad at the in the first episode. He's mad that the Tony is ignoring him. He's like, I bought his kid a $700 snowboard. It's like specific examples to show the relationship. There's none of that specificity in the script, which sucks because as a joke writer, he has great specificity, and you don't see it in the dialogue.
We got to move on because I'm getting mad at you as like a friend. I mean, The Sopranos is a guy who's literally like, oh, T, and but fuck The Sopranos. I mean, you're coming in with like a TV drama as better than this
I think Sopranos is the best writing ever.
Let's stick to movies. Okay. It's Joe and Raanan talk movies, not fucking soap opera HBO show where there's a fucking Stevie Van Zandt. I just went with that
because that is like to be the premier specificity. But all right, I'm trying to think of a movie.
So many great details in this movie. The scene of the three of them. I'm just so blown away that I'm even having this conversation about like one best fucking screenplay. Not that the Oscars are all fucking whatever, but it's just unbelievable dialogue. So perfect. I mean, the three of them at lunch when the camera's going around them and she's getting upset. And she's like, "Why are you getting upset?" The Diane Wiest and fucking what's Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia. That whole thing when she's in the back seat and he's talking to Princess Leia and he's like, "You seem to really be aware of your surroundings," and she's in the backseat going, "It's very important," trying to cut in. It's such a great depiction of two people trying to fuck the same person, and all of the I'm just, in my interpretation, I've just never seen a film so real and get dialogue so fucking spot on perfect, and it's a credit to the performances as well as the script.
I do think the acting.
I'm just in shock at hearing this.
I think the acting hides bad dialogue, honestly. I really do.
I think you want to be Pauline Kael. I think you're trying to go and criticize Raging Bull in 2001.
I love Raging Bull. I have felt this for years about Hannah. I mean, I love Woody Allen. The Woody Allen movies I love, but I think for me, when he goes outside of the comedy and gets into these dramas, I think there is a broadness in the dialogue that I find, I don't know, it's hard. I find it, I guess I think it's like a first draft. I think he could go in there and fill in more of the details, you know? I think he kind of writes out how the characters are feeling a lot. And yeah, I don't know. For me, the movie didn't like, I love the Woody Allen part. So let me just say that. I love the Woody Allen part. But to the point where, like, when it cuts away from Michael Caine and goes to the first Woody Allen part, don't you feel like it's just already a better movie right when it cuts to, it just feels so much more lively the minute it cuts to Woody Allen.
I think Michael Caine the character's great. I think he's just fantastic. I think he's so funny. I mean, I love it. He's swooning over her, and then she's like, "Doesn't she look beautiful?" He's like, "Yes." I just think it's so funny. I think he's so real. He's such a great.
You think he's funny in it?
Dumb. Oh my God, I think he's hilarious.
Huh? I didn't see that.
I mean, does literally the scene I just said? I'm not going to repeat it, but like Also, the
I guess
scene
the scene where he kisses her is funny. When he's like,
all right, he's off camera, and he's like, I gotta take this subtle. I gotta just approach it with, whatever. And then it just runs to him, just kissing her on the face. I have my answer. I'm walking on air. The fact that he thinks that went well is hilarious. I mean, he's walking around. Him jogging to catch up with her is hilarious.
No, actually, you know what part is?
How creepy it is that he's like, read this poem. It reminded me of you. Just how ridiculous and inappropriate that is funny to me.
Though, you know, part is actually hilarious. I totally Daniel Stern is hilarious in it.
He's great.
Like,
and then he's like, it's not a big deal. We just didn't hit it off. He's gonna throw up on the street. No, I think he's funny in so many ways, and such a big dope. And we haven't even talked about Diane Wiest, who obviously is the best character in the movie.
She's great. She is great in the movie.
So funny.
She is great, and I do think the Woody Allen stuff is obviously like really relatable, and like, you know, the hypochondria stuff.
Of course. I mean, that's the most I've related to a character in any movie ever.
That's the thing. Watching this, I'm not crazy about the whole movie, but that part is like, to me, like an amazing short film that like I connect to so much. And I do think that is one of the things that makes Woody Allen great, is that he was talking about shit, or he was, what do you call it? He was the voice of something that you hadn't heard a voice before of. You know what I mean? I guess it's that old representation. He just kind of created representation for fucking hypochondriacs that you never really saw. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it is like, you do feel like when you watch that part with him, the tumor and everything, you feel represented.
Seen and heard. Yeah. By the way, bunch of great soon to be stars: Louis Black, John Turturro, Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that too.
Walsh.
I want to talk about that. Yeah. That opening scene with Woody Allen, which I love, him walking down the hallway. There's so many famous, soon to be famous people immediately. It's crazy. Yeah. But the outfit Julia Louis-Dreyfus has is insane.
Yes.
Like she has, like, I don't know what fashion was in the 80s, but she has shit coming out of her hair.
Yeah. Well, and then later, Diane Wiest has like army, like badges on. What do you call those? Fucking, what are they called? Awards, medals.
Yeah, the fashion, but yeah, that opening shot of him walking around, you see Julia Louis-Dreyfus as an extra, John Turturro as an extra, Marge and JT Walsh in like 30 seconds, and all of them are basically have just one line.
Yeah, well, Julie Kavner, Marge, she's like a principal character. She has
but the other
a couple scenes.
Who are the other ones?
And Louis Black is in there.
Who the fuck? Oh, Louis Black is one of the. Oh, I didn't realize
he's one of the writers. Yeah. Also, can I just say, the movie has meant so much to me. It becomes like meta, because the scene where he's going to kill himself and he goes to the Marx Brothers movie, it like moves me to tears. And for me, this film has been that for me. Woody, just seeing the Woody title, whatever font, and that jazz music, and knowing a Woody movie in New York has fucking meant so much to me in my life. That's why it's hard for me to handle all these accusations. Because I'm like, he just means so much to me. I'm like, please don't let it be true.
Oh, the accusation. I thought you meant my accusations.
Well, yours too. I just am like, and it's like the most insulting thing you can say to somebody for criticizing art. But I think you're trying to be fucking Pauline Kael and go, I don't like this movie that's fucking just a masterpiece. I can't even fathom that you can't think this movie's amazing.
You know, she took one of my movie reviews.
What does that mean?
It's a Louis C.K. callback. Like,
I just think I literally have as a note, you can't see the writing. It's amazing. I've never had a bigger difference in opinions in movies. It's just his best script. I think he gets the best performance.
You can see
also his best direction. I
do like the direction. The framing is very good. Like
all these people getting blocked out by stuff where it feels very like voyeuristic.
The framing is great, but I see the writing.
Music is great.
I see the fucking writing. I see it and it feels stilted to me. But I will say the Woody Allen part is amazing. But you know, the thing about the accusations, it's like, you know, you don't want it to be true, and I get that. But I guess for me, it's like I'm always about, you know, we have to accept the world as a lot. You know how a lot, in the same vein as that. I know you're aware of it, so I'm not like accusing it. But like a lot of people, when they find out about Woody Allen or Louis or anyone, they go, "I never liked his shit to begin with," you know?
Right.
And they're trying to create this very simple world where the bad guys also aren't talented. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they're trying to make this perfect world where good people are talented and bad people are not talented and everything makes sense, but things don't make sense and things are complicated. And, you know, one of the greatest comics ever is also one of the greatest rapists ever. That's just a reality. And you just have to accept that. So in the same vein, I get why you don't want it to be true, but like, life is, unfortunately, like, more complicated than that.
And it's worth saying about Woody, though, that there were two separate independent investigations, and they both said he was innocent. That's worth noting, is it not?
Yeah, it's worth noting. Yeah, it's worth noting. I don't know. We've talked about this before, and I guess we can go in and out talking about it because I think the Soon-Yi shit is just so awful. Like, to do that, to take a daughter of someone and, like, have an affair while he's with her. I think that already is so awful. And I know you think I'm an asshole for saying this, but it's so awful. I just don't like even care that much. I think he is just kind of a fucking psychopath, but a great artist.
I think, well, for sure, a great artist, and yeah, he's a creepy guy and does things that I would not do, and a lot of unethical, fucked up things. But I do think the argument we've had before, and I think it's important. And I sound like a fucking devil, Satan, asshole, maniac. I just think because you've done this creepy thing A doesn't mean you're automatically guilty of horrific thing B. I don't.
That's true.
I just think we have to, as a society, make sure we're not doing that, because that happens a lot these days. It doesn't surprise me that, because he once gave me the finger in a traffic incident.
And if you notice,
like, well, sorry, that's it.
No, you're right. And if you notice, a lot of the people who do get me too are kind of like pricks a lot. So it's almost like a popularity contest a lot of times. You know what I mean? People have beef about someone anyway. So it is complicated. But like, that's true. But that's a weird thing about the accusations. It's like, but on the same time, Dylan says it happened. So
right.
You'd have to be like, either she was coerced. I don't think she's lying. She seems to sound like she really believes it. So you'd have to make the leap that she has false memories, right?
Well, and again, this is not my opinion. I haven't done any investigation. I don't want to be fucking considered a bad person, but one of the independent investigations says it looks like there could be have been coaching.
Yeah.
So that's coming from an independent investigator, not from me. This is not my opinion. None of these are my opinions. My only opinion is that Raanan's a fucking idiot for not letting Hannah and her sister.
And also, like, Moses does say, like, contradict everything they say. So it is a very bizarre family thing, where it's like, on one hand, you can see either like Woody Allen, there's a lot of realities. Woody Allen is A, he just fucks everyone and he's evil and all that shit. Or B, he did this horrible thing with Soon-Yi, and you could see Mia wanting this other thing to be true to get back at him. You know what I mean? Or C, which is probably like, he does seem like he was a little handsy with his daughter. So maybe it's this weird gray area.
Well, I mean? It seems like, and that's another thing to me, and they discussed that in the first episode, and I don't know what the 3 episodes are going to be. And I want to make it clear we're recording this.
We're going to look like such an asshole if the documentary comes out. It's just footage of him molesting her.
Yeah. And he's like, I did it. I totally did it. But it does seem, I will certainly admit this, it does seem like he is a possessive, weird father. Like he's pulling her aside and touching her and holding her and all this stuff. It does seem like he's a little bit of a fucking weird, creepy father. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean he fucking molested her, which he may have. I don't have any idea.
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes it's okay not to know. Like, sometimes it's okay not to know. I don't know if there's a God. I don't know, if I'm going to make it as a comedian. Or
as a human. I mean, you can't be that healthy.
I don't know. Like, you don't have to. You don't always have to know. I mean, this also is very specifically crazy. It's just crazy all around. Like, Mia seems crazy. She seems to adopt all these children for weird reasons. Woody Allen's like, I want a blonde-haired girl. And he's like, oh, she's like, okay. Like, it's like a weird fucking shit all around.
Yeah, they're weirdos. They're like they're fucking Hollywood weirdos.
They're fucking freaks.
Exactly. And I try to separate that. I'm like, this isn't really any of my fucking business. And for whatever reason, maybe I'm a psycho or something's wrong with me. I am able to, and this is something we keep going back and forth on, I'm able to shut out all that stuff. When I watch Chinatown, I am not thinking about Roman Polanski raping a teenager. It's just not on my mind.
It's a little harder sometimes with Woody Allen, though, because in a way he is like a stand-up where you are looking at him the whole time of the movie. And let's talk about Manhattan a little, because there are times in Manhattan
more creepy stuff
where it's hard to like. It is hard, yes, I separate the art from the artist, but he he kind of brings them together in a way that's tough. Like the speech, not to get to the end of Manhattan, but at the end of Manhattan, he literally has a speech where he's like, I just hope when I die, I'll be thought highly of. Like he's just talking about his hopes of how people will view him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's hard not to be distracted with that, thinking that, wow, his legacy is not going to be great at this point.
It's so weird. I don't have that. I'm thinking about Isaac when I'm watching that.
Really?
Yes. I'm like, that's how I watch a movie. I don't fucking have that.
He's fucking a 17-year-old in it. That there's no like connection.
Well, I mean, I guess at parts. I mean, to me, it is creepy. I was saying this earlier, I wish he had cast a 21-year-old woman to play the 17-year-old. In the movie, I don't have an issue. Because first of all, in 1979, it was far more accepted to fucking date a 17-year-old.
Let's not get fucking completely hypocritical here. Everyone's like, Manhattan's disgusting. Clearly, times have changed, and I know times have changed because Manhattan was hailed as a classic when it came out.
It was a massive box office hit. There was lines around the corner.
Yeah, and not just men. Honestly, I feel like most women love Manhattan. Like, I feel like Woody Allen is someone who like a lot of women. So it's like clearly times have changed, because if times had not changed, Manhattan would have come out and everyone's like, "What the fuck? This is child porn! Fucking arrest him!" So clearly, society has evolved. You know, it's the same thing with the Jimmy Fallon thing. Like, they find a sketch of him doing blackface 15 years ago, but it's like, well, yeah, no one cared then. Like, I mean, maybe black people found it very hurtful, but for society in general, it's like when people aren't up in arms back then, it's proof that society has changed. And if society has evolved, which it always evolves, how much do you attack someone back then when clearly the fact that we didn't is proof that we shouldn't attack them now?
Yeah, I mean, the movie was nominated for Academy Awards. It was a huge hit, and there was so many. She was just 17, if you know what I mean. She's 16. She's beautiful. She's mine. Teenage queen. There was a lot of that stuff. Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? I mean, like, there's a lot of that existed, and I have a friend who was in his late 30s dating a 19-year-old, which is what, like, they were like 15 months difference. We hung out. We all hung out and went, he's crazy, whatever. So
I fuck children. Look no further.
But it is weird with the actress, because you read about Mariel Hemingway was 16 and had never kissed anyone before, and she was so nervous. And
wait, weird. I actually didn't know this. She's 16 in the movie?
Yeah, the actress was like 16 when she was cast.
What?
I know that part.
He's like making out with her.
That is the scene that is a moment where I am like, it takes me out for a second, and then I go, all right, well, whatever. I'm watching a movie. I didn't do this. I don't know. And I feel guilt because people's reaction to me, it's like I'm insane, which I've talked about this before. I get this when people are like, I've watched Schindler's List 50 times. People are like, how could you rewatch that movie? People like judge me like I'm a maniac.
I watched it while running on the elliptical a couple months ago.
I swear to God, people really are like, that's fucking weird. You're weird. Because they watch Dumb and Dumber over and over again, which I do too. But I'm like, I don't know. It's a film. I enjoy it. I'm not actually,
it's entertaining.
I'm not actually watching Jews get thrown into an oven. I'm watching a movie. And so this is a movie about an older guy who's hooking up with a 17-year-old, which is, I don't condone it. I'm not dating 17-year-olds. I'm not even attracted to 20-year-olds. I like an old.
Yeah, you like older women. Yeah.
Yeah, I like an old, fat, gross.
You're defending Woody Allen, and you're like the opposite. You're an oldiophile. You're a seniorophile.
That's right. Well, I'm defending him because it's art. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you. I don't want to go back to Hannah and her sisters too much, but just real quickly. So to the point where it didn't distract you at all, even when Woody Allen shows up at Hannah and her sisters, and literally the first moment is, we can't do this joke. You can't do jokes about child molestation. Like, even that, you didn't make you can.
Well, he's talking about the Catholic Church.
I know, but like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just in my head. But like, yeah, with Manhattan, it's tough. I mean, by the way, Pauline Kael is the only one who actually mentioned something in a review. You know what she said about Manhattan?
No.
She said, and she was one of the few female critics at the time, so it's like a lot of men didn't have a problem with it, but she said, leave it to Woody Allen to make a movie where like dating a 17-year-old is like how you is something about how that's how you find the true values of life. Like, leave it to Woody Allen to associate fucking a 17-year-old with having a meaning in life.
Well, here's the thing. I really do have a hard time at this point. I don't even like talking about Manhattan and Woody Allen anymore because the joy is gone. Because I feel like I'm getting so judged by everybody, and I'm just a pig and a piece of
I'm
shit.
not judging.
No, but in general, it just feels like across the board, Twitter, everything. So it's hard, but I'm like, I don't know why. I can't tell you. I am not for fucking kids. I'm not attracted to teenagers, but I watch a movie about a 42-year-old that's dating a 17-year-old. That's the story that's being presented to me. And I go, okay, this is the story. And I think it's a beautiful story. And what's so interesting is she's the only character in the movie that feels like a relatively commendable character, other than Michael Murphy's wife, who you don't really know much about.
Yeah, the characters
other
are
three
very
kind
shitty.
of pieces of shit.
They're very
shitheads.
shitty, and she's the only one who does have integrity.
And she's funny and smart, and they actually get along. We see them. That's the only pairing of the 4 pairings that you actually see them getting along and a good couple.
And she's the only one who, I guess a theme of a lot of his movies are the characters really just don't know what they want.
Right.
Just kind of, meandering around the universe, just like, I want this moment, this and next. But she's actually the only character who knows what she wants.
Yes, exactly. And he's happy when he's with her, and it's a healthy relationship, as crazy as that sounds. And I do think, I don't know, maybe again, I feel guilt. I'm like racked with guilt
this is a tough,
liking these movies.
This is the tough thing right now. It's because it's like there's such pressure in society. Like, none of us are fucking kids. You know what I mean? But like, you feel like you'll get attacked just for even talking about it. But the thing is, shit's complicated. And like, I'm watching the movie, and yes, it's weird that she's 16, and yes, it's weird that she's 17. But at the time, clearly, no one, at least, it wasn't controversial on a like conventional level to the point where people are upset. So clearly, it's wrong to judge it for that. And it's hard not to watch it and it's hard to watch that and be so disgusted you're not like completely moved still. Like, I found myself watching it, the part at the end, the shot of him saying in the tape recorder the things he loves and then saying her face, and then going over to that bookshelf and taking out the harmonica and coming back, the way that's done in all one shot, and the way the music is done in that one shot, and the way it's actually amazing. Because what happens at the end of the movie, there's parts of the movie I actually found like a bit of a slog now just watching.
Yes, I agree. That's why Hannah and Sisters is the best of these 3 movies, in my opinion. But
I just don't really give a shit about the characters as much. But what he does at the end of the movie is he kind of like starts creating the silent film vibe, like an old Charlie Chaplin movie where you're seeing just like visually things over music. So when he's saying all those things he loves, and then he says her face, the way he just goes up to get the harmonica, so you know what he's thinking about. He goes back, he dials a number, it's busy, and then he goes to get his jacket and goes out the door. You see a whole narrative right there told visually. And yeah, it's a 17-year-old, but it's hard not to be moved by that shot.
And she's 18 now.
She's 18
so,
now. Yeah. It's
economic. Jerry Seinfeld dated a teenager. No one seems to be upset about it.
Oh, there's people upset.
In the
people are upset about everything.
I get you. Well, obviously, but it's not as big a deal. But anyways, no, and it's love, and it's beautiful, and that's what I guess happened in 1979. Now it's creepy because of all the stuff, but it's a love story, and it's like he's in love with this woman, and she happens to be 17 or 18, but either way, we can all identify with that moment where he's doing a gratitude list of things he loves, and she, naturally, not naturally, but organically comes into his head. And of course, she trumps all of those things. He reacts in a more visceral, happier way than he does all these other things. It's real. It's a real life situation. And and kind of like Annie Hall, he could have put a montage of all those great moments. Mm-hmm. Where they're watching Grand Illusion or the W.C. Fields movie in bed while eating Chinese food and on the horse and carriage. It is a beautiful love story, and an unlikely love story. And this is going to sound horrible because it's going to sound like I'm comparing homosexuality to pedophilia, but it's not unlike Brokeback Mountain in this way of like, I can't, you're too young for me, you should go out.
Right.
It's similar to Brokeback, and it's this beautiful story. And in your mind, by the end, you're not even thinking about the age or the gender. It's just a beautiful love story.
Well, it also feels like a love, at least for me, it feels like a love that's lost. Like he's too late. To me, it feels like,
of course, yes.
To me, it captures that feeling you have, which is, just because you could sit there the whole time and go, this is disgusting, this is disgusting, this is disgusting, this is disgusting. But at a certain point, like, you know, you got to have a heart of stone not to just be like, wow, this reminds me of a lot of times I blew it.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
And so it's like, it is. I mean, I honestly found the movie kind of, I don't know, I used to love it, but I found it like kind of boring to watch. But like the ending was very powerful to me. Like the ending of him going to her and her just saying, like, you know, you got to have a little faith. And then that look on his face where to me, that look is just him realizing he blew it. You know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah, there's no chance. And of course he's saying all the opposite things that he had been saying the whole time.
Yeah. And it is that like moment. And it is, the movie is kind of saying some love goes beyond. There's like the intellectual, this is wrong, this is bad. And then there's just love that goes beyond, you know, age or say, you know what I mean? It's like, it gets into the complicated area, the Beauty and the Beast, or like, you know, someone in love with an animal, or someone in love, you know, that just things that are, what am I trying to say? Things that are wrong in society, but like the love that goes beyond what's wrong in society. And you're not allowed to think that anymore, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I don't know. I guess I just watch it and I'm like, this is beautiful. The ending is so beautiful. The beginning is so beautiful. The cinematography is just unbelievable. All the Gershwin stuff is great. But I agree. It's not, Diane Keaton is just so unlikable in this film, the character, that
she's so annoying.
But
she's
it's
good.
also,
she's great. Yeah.
That's also an interesting thing to me, is that he's obviously in love and in this great relationship, but he does see like, she's too young. This is bad. I'll go be with this woman who he doesn't even like. She's not even likable. By the way, there's some great laughs in the movie. I used to laugh so hard. I've seen it so many times now, but when she's like, my doctor told me it was the wrong kind of orgasm. And he's like, did you have the wrong kind? Even my best was right on the money.
There's amazing lines in it. And it's, yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. It's like Diane Keaton is the one right for the age, but then she's actually way more immature than Muriel Hemingway. You know what I mean? And so I guess the question, what is the issue? I'm trying to think of I guess ultimately the issue is like, there's ages, and in society, you're like, this age is wrong, this age is wrong. And then the movie's kind of like, but there's also individuals. And can a young person be older than their years, I guess? And society now, I guess, says that's not true. Like they can't, right? Isn't that kind of the issue?
I don't know. I guess the issue now, I mean, part of the issue would be that I think what people's argument would be that, you know, he's manipulating her into liking him. Like now, I think if you're 40 and you're dating a 17, you're like, well, she doesn't really like you. You've sort of manipulated this
right
into it. You're controlling her in some way.
Well, so how do I guess what I'm asking, because we're just talking about this. You know, I feel like you can't even talk about shit without people getting angry. You know, but like, do you think that's true?
Do I think what's true? That a 17-year-old dating a 40-year-old is.
You think that is, they are manipulating her, but you think that is true, but like in a movie.
Well, it becomes a much steeper conversation of what age. I mean, our Dave Chappelle had that great bit about R. Kelly, the whole chunk about what's 15 years old, what's 16 years old. You know, like there's an argument, there's a minor, and he's like, when I was 16, if someone was like, "Can I piss on you?" I'd be like, "You can't," and that was the whole bit he had.
He's saying that they had accountability, I guess.
Yeah, he's saying they should have or whatever. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm afraid to even talk about. I don't know. I mean, but I'm not the guy that's gonna figure this stuff out. I don't know. I mean,
can we at least? But we should be allowed to like talk about. Don't you think? Like,
well, we are talking about it. Like, I'm just expressing that it's nerve-wracking.
I feel like people are gonna come in and like arrest us while we're talking. I'm just trying to, like, I don't think anyone. I think it's wrong. I think it's totally wrong. And frankly, sometimes they do college gigs. And even college kids, you're like, oh, fuck a college kid. But then you see them and they all look like they're 8. You know what I mean? Like, so 17, you know, but like, yeah, we can't talk about this, but yeah, can you appreciate something artistically, even though you know it's wrong in real life? And I think you can. For instance, I love the book Lolita.
Right.
But obviously what he's doing is wrong, but it's still kind of moving in the book, you know what I mean, at certain times. So it's like, I guess, you know, I don't know. I think, yeah, I guess that's where it gets complicated. Is it wrong enough where you can't really, engage in the movie the same way.
Well, it gets tricky with the age thing because like an 18-year-old can go to war and die and vote and all that stuff, and a 17-year-old could be 6 weeks younger than the 18-year-old. It's weird thing of this birthday makes you an adult and whatever.
And it is legal in New York at the time. I mean, it's actually still legal. 17 is the age. I mean, not legal for the actress playing her.
Right.
not legal for her, but that's crazy that the actress is old. Like, it's crazy that he's dating an underage, like a young underage woman, and the actress was even younger.
Yeah, I don't know, but I love the film. The opening is so great. The end is so great. There's so many great jokes. The cinematography is spectacular. Gordon Willis, of course, the Prince of Darkness, who did The Godfather and all that shit.
Right. No, beautiful. Yeah. Do you have any issue though with the fact? I mean, you're gonna call me a liberal cuck, whatever, but like, there's part of me that's watching all these movies that goes, I mean, like, there are poor people in New York. Yeah, they walk around the street. I feel like they just took them all out of the movie. Like, it's like, all right, get that homeless person out of the street. I'm not saying you have to make a movie about them, but it seems like at a certain point they're just like almost CGIing them out of the movie or something. You know?
I don't know. I mean, I've had this discussion before, and we kind of talked about it last week with the Black Messiah.
Right.
Where it's like, I don't know, this is a movie about rich Manhattanites. Like, where would they, I guess, what? Like, in the background? You just want to see a homeless guy in the background?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there might be. I'm sure in some of those shots in the opening, there are some, like, poor people that, you know, they're in whatever. I think there's a homeless guy at one point, but, like, you'd have to go out of your way just to appease people like you to go, all right, let's put a homeless guy there. Someone put dirt on fucking Bill's face and have him lay down. You know, it's an Upper East Side, rich Manhattanite film.
It is weird though to have her sister with that black maid comes in, because it's just weird. She's like, it's the only character in it, but she's also she looks like she's a Gone with the Wind. It's like such an old maid costume.
It was probably Mia Farrow's actual maid. So yeah, I don't know. It's another thing I don't think about, maybe because I'm not a minority or whatever, but I am poor. But I never go, how come there's not a fucking plumber in there? Where's the fireman? How come there's no firemen in there? My family's firemen.
Yeah, maybe you're right. It'd be weird to just be like, all right, let's put this homeless person in here just to show that there's, you know what I mean?
Right. So,
but yeah, I think Manhattan, I was kind of bored by it, but I liked, you know, the ending is powerful. But let's talk about a movie that, I mean, I don't have any issue with. Annie Hall is one of my favorite movies. I just fucking love it.
It's so interesting to me. I'm so surprised by that. See, Annie Hall, this is going to be tricky for me because we talked about this before.
I feel like you're still mad about the Hannah and her sisters thing.
I'm livid. I mean, I don't even want to be friends. I'm like, I can't even like believe it. But
I tried to write out the dialogue just to make the point. Oh yeah,
Annie Hall to me, I actually do have. I don't want to say issues, but it's going to be difficult. And we've talked about this before. It's tricky to criticize a movie that like is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's one of the best movies of all time, but I don't think it's as perfect as Hannah and her sisters is. I just don't think it's as good. And there are parts of Annie Hall to me that I find a little, I don't want to say boring, but just kind of whatever, or a little more silly. They come out of reality, but the cartoon I don't like. Shelley Duvall's face I just find too shitty. And like some of it where it gets a little more, what do you call it? Surreal or whatever, with the house directly under the roller coaster or whatever. I'm just not, I love it. But like the flashback to when he's a kid in school and whatever.
I guess I love that stuff. I find it like experimental and imaginative, and like, I find the movie so, I mean, I do think it has real shit in it. I find it like an interesting mix. That's where to me, it's like a perfect tragic comedy in that way.
Yeah, again, it's gonna sound hard because I'm like, I feel like I should be like, I love it. It's amazing. It fucking changed my life, and I think it's one of the great films of all time. But, and again, this is a criticism coming from watching it probably 75 times. Where when I watch Hannah and her sisters for the 75th time, there's no scenes I want to skip, or not skip, but I'm like, I'm fine with this scene. I don't give a shit about this scene, whatever. There are a few in Annie Hall. And the jokes are a little more joke. Hey, don't knock masturbation. It's sex with someone I love. That's a joke. It's like a joke from his act that is plugged into the movie. I
guess that's the Woody Allen I love, really.
But that to you is great writing, script writing.
Yes.
It's clearly I mean, this is the opposite of the point you were making earlier, though. That's what's so interesting to me.
It's not that I'm against like him doing more realistic movies. It's just that I personally think other screenwriters are able to do it in a more nuanced manner. I think for him, his ability is much better at broadness. And I think it becomes more moving at times. Like for instance, there's all these like experimental jokes, but then he uses the jokes themselves to show real emotion, like the part where he's recreating the lobster scene with the other woman. That seems like an old
Amazing. Yeah.
It seems like an old joke from earlier in the script, but now it's used in this way where you're like that, and then the next shot of him alone at the water. It's like, to me, it's like this beautiful Ford. So here's my thing with Woody Allen. I think all his early comedies are amazing. I think Love and Death is one of the top 5 funniest movies of all time. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I'd say at this point it's almost underrated because people don't talk about it enough. One of the funniest movies of all time. And I think Annie Hall is this perfect moment where he blended that broad humor with some real tragic comedy and real loss. And I thought it was the perfect marriage.
Yes. I mean, I think it's tremendous. Some fun facts about the movie. One, I'm sure you know all these anyways, but the split screen where they're in the therapist is a stage. Did you know that? That's not an actual split screen.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, so they shot it on a stage. Like they
That's
just
hilarious.
built the 2 places next to each other. It's not an actual split screen, which is really interesting. There are 282 cuts in the film. Like it cuts from one shot to the next. An average film in the 70s would have about 1,000.
Yeah, he is the master of just keeping that camera rolling.
They said the average shot in Annie Hall was about 14.5 seconds, whereas an average movie would be 4 to 7 seconds. And you can contrast it with like Star Wars, which came out the same year, and Annie Hall miraculously beat it for Best Picture, which would never happen now, obviously.
Never.
It's just these long shots, and it's all talking. It's pretty amazing.
And that's probably, I'm sure. I bet it seems like Hannah and her sister's probably even longer shots, right? I feel like Hannah and her sister just the camera's on them for like 20 minutes at times.
Yeah, I don't know about 20 minutes, but yeah, it's I think similarly, yeah.
And it is interesting because like Woody Allen is a great director in the sense that like a lot of directors are known for their cuts and their different techniques, but Woody Allen has his own identity, his own brand as a guy who does like have a lot of blocking happen where the camera kind of just stays away from it and shows the blocking within the shot, and it is create his own kind of unique way of storytelling,
Yeah, I mean, they call him the king of the master shot, where it's
king of the master shot.
Yeah, he just shoot it with everything in there, and then that's the shot.
And it's very
he always says he wants to go to the fucking basketball game.
But honestly, like in Manhattan, it's really powerful how that whole scene with him listening to things and going to the harmonica, it's really powerful that's all one shot. Like there's a lot of power in having one shot, and it does feel very real. I don't know. I think Annie Hall is to me like, the perfect blend of, and it has some of my favorite moments ever. Him ripping up the license plate when he's afraid. I mean, the license when the cops yelling at him.
Yeah.
Even though those seem like hard to rip up, but maybe
I think they were paper in 1970. You're not going to believe it, but it's possible that licenses have changed in the last 48 years.
All right. Thought I saw a hole, but no. But I think everything about the movie is great. To me, it's that perfect blend. And then to me, it's like, I guess my issue with him later is for him, his idea of drama, sometimes he thought to be taken seriously, he had to take the comedy out. When I think life can be a blend of the two. And so like his next movie is just dog shit interiors, where it's just like trying to not be funny at any moment, which is just, that's also fake. It's very fake to just like deliberately take out humor. So I think Annie Hall was this perfect like marriage of his humor and him dealing with like, more of the sadder themes in his work.
I think that about Hannah and Her Sisters, which I do think is a hilarious movie and beautiful and tragic and dramatic. But yeah, no, Annie Hall, it's like, it's unbelievable. It's Annie Hall. It's one of those movies. It's one of the great movies of all time, without question. And it's hilarious and beautiful.
He is the king, by the way. I guess just realizing it now. He is the king of extras becoming really famous.
What, Christopher Walken?
Christopher Walken, Jeff Goldblum.
Paul Simon?
Everyone we mentioned in Hannah and Her Sisters.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone and Bananas.
Oh, yeah.
If you're an extra in a Woody Allen movie, you're going to go far.
Yeah, possibly. Well, not now. Now you're going to be kicked out of society. But But no, Annie Hall. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say anything that hasn't already been said. I've been killing spiders since I was 30. I haven't been myself since I quit smoking cigarettes. When did you quit? 14 years ago.
It's just,
I mean,
yeah,
there's just great jokes in there.
to me, it forges the stand up with stuff. I mean, for me, here's my just overall of his career. I think, and you're gonna once again think I'm insane, but I love all his early comedies. Annie Hall is to me like the perfect movie. And I don't really love anything that much until Bullets Over Broadway.
What Crimes and Misdemeanors? You just skipped that one?
Not crazy about it.
Everyone Says I Love You?
I haven't seen that in a while, but
Deconstructing Harry?
I do like
Deconstructing.
I like
movies.
Deconstructing Harry, but Bullets Over Broadway is before that. So
Yes.
Bullets Over Broadway, then I like
Yes, that's
Deconstructing Harry, and
beautiful.
then I love Sweet and Low Down.
What about Where Are You on Midnight in Paris?
I don't like it. I found it like just kind of, I don't know. I just found it like just making these knowing references about literature that we're all supposed to love. I don't know. He did a short story similar to that was much better.
What about Match Point?
Hate Match Point. I do not like Crimes and Misdemeanors. Is that one you love?
I love it.
I don't know. Watch it again. To me, like I used to love it too, but I watch it now and like all the moralizing just seems really pretentious, and it's just like a heavy-handed movie. There's a rabbi who's going blind, and the optometrist is the one who wants to make him see clearly. It's just like kind of obvious symbolism. I feel like you're looking at me the way Woody Allen's looking at Diane Keaton in Manhattan.
I do. I feel exactly like that, which is such a great depiction. He's like, those people are all great. Everyone you just named is great. I love that. I think he does such a great job.
Look,
It's a lot better than that steel cube. I mean, that steel cube, remember that? That's such an amazing scene. I feel like I've lived that scene so many times.
You're living it right now. No, I think Diane Keaton, I think it's great. I think it's a hilarious character, you know? But all
right, what about this question? Farrow or Keaton?
For greater actress, or who do I want to have sex with?
No, actor. Jesus Christ. I guess
better
we could
actress?
do both. Keaton, I'm way more attracted to, but Farrow, I prefer. I guess I just asked so I could say my opinion. But Farrow is
you're more attracted to Keaton. Have you seen Rosemary's Baby?
No, what's that about? Yes, I've seen Rosemary's Baby. What am I, an asshole?
I feel like Mia Farrow in her day is like so gorgeous.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Faye Dunaway, she's like the hottest from that period.
Yeah, she's very hot, but
crazy hot. In Network, she's like unbelievable. But
I don't know, Mia Farrow, those eyes, you know. I mean, I actually never really got into the Diane. Oh, but we should probably talk about their skills. Diane Keaton, I think is. I think they're both great actresses, but I guess Diane Keaton's more like kind of interesting to watch, I guess.
Oh, see, Farrow is just. I mean, again,
Mia Farrow's great.
You
She's
think
a great
Her and Her
actress.
Sisters is like a piece of shit. So I mean, like I can't even. That's like Farrow's best work. And then Broadway Danny Rose. Farrow is so good. Rosemary's Baby. She's great.
Yeah, no, she's beautiful. I mean, she is a great actress. I mean, I think he gets great actors to sometimes say clunky, stilted dialogue.
He gets great performances because he has great scripts, and the great scripts make great performers.
I don't know. Yeah, for me, but at the same time, I love so much of him, and so it is hard with all this shit now. Like it's I mean, people see him as like the devil now.
Yeah,
it's like crazy. I don't have that
as like the greatest.
Well, also like Bill Cosby wasn't a big deal for me because I just never was into him.
Yeah.
Like I just never was that. I guess it just wasn't that hard for me to like. I never really watched his stand up. But like with Woody Allen, he like got me into comedy. So it's it's tough. It is
Yeah, no, it's difficult.
You can't deny that.
It's sad. Yeah. Well, that's what I've been saying that for years. Is like, well, his influence is already.
You can't undo the influence. Yeah, it's kind of like America. Yeah, we killed all the Native Americans, but we're here now. Like you can't pretend we're not here.
Yeah, it worked out. Now you're getting into a Louis bit.
Wait, is that a Louis bit?
Well, I think
I'm allowed to take one of them.
Yeah, you get it for a day. For 24 hours, you can keep it.
But but yeah, no, it's like, yeah, you can't just be, a lot of people are like, well, Woody Allen sucked to begin with. And you can't, I wish the life was that simpler, but it's not. He's a creep. He may have molested his daughter. He may have not. I don't know, but he certainly married the daughter of his girlfriend, which is weird,
That's not, which is cool, man.
But you can't act like he didn't basically define. It's almost like his influence. He specifically is so influential in a way like other directors aren't. Like he influences. He didn't just influence directors. He kind of influences people's personalities.
Well, I always said Woody Allen is one of the best ever at everything he's ever done. I think he's one of the best directors ever. I think you disagree, but I think he's one of the best screenwriters of all time. I think he's one of the best prose writers of all time. I think he's one of the best comedic actors of all time. I think he's one of the best sketch writers, I would have to assume, when he was writing sketch. I mean,
he's very talented. And yeah, I mean, and he's a wonderkin as a comedian, and like he is. If you haven't seen a stand up, it's just like incredible. It holds up.
Top five to me.
He holds up more than any other stand-up from that era, I think. Like,
absolutely, it's not even close. It's not even close.
Yeah, because he's so. I mean, I guess it's a little before him, but fucking Lenny Bruce is like, it's just impossible to understand, and you know the other guy, Mort Saul, is just very topical shit. I guess they're earlier, but Woody Allen is, he holds up. Who was his time stand-up wise? I guess Bill Cosby.
I think Cosby came around. Yeah, Mort Saul. I mean. Yeah, he was mid to late 64 to 68, I think, was his.
All his stand up is all his stand up is incredible. Yeah, so it's just it's tough. And I think something, that whole representation thing that people use now for everyone, it is true. Like one of the things that made him work so well, and something that I don't think I had seen before in the same level, is he really showed you what he as a character enjoyed in life. Like you kind of knew his tastes. And that kind of made it it made you really connect to him as a character. You knew what he liked, you knew what he hated. And I actually think, like, not to bring up Sopranos, but that's a big thing in Sopranos, where you know everything each person likes, their movies or their music. And I do think that does make you feel connected to a character more than a lot of other attributes, just knowing what they're into. And the Woody Allen character, you just know that he loves Groucho Marx and he hates folk music and he loves jazz, and it makes you feel connected to him as a real character. And
right, and he's an atheist and all those things. And also, is there anything to the fact too that, like, when Woody starts doing creepy shit in the 90s, you're like, he has created, as speaking to what you're saying, he has been a creep. That's his thing. He's the sex guy. He's not a creep, but he's the sex fucking dirty, I want to have sex with everybody sex guy. It's not like that's what made Cosby so fascinating, because he was America's dad and all this shit, and black people should wear their pants high or whatever the
Cosby
fuck.
wasn't like the rape joke guy. Yeah.
But yeah, Woody was like, I'm the hornball. I'm the hornball sex, look up the lady's skirt, fucking guy, you know?
I guess that's true. I guess he is having sex. Well, like I said, if you combine Hannah and Sisters in Manhattan, it's kind of like what he's doing. It's like he's having sex with people too connected to the family, and underage people. But I mean, I think ironically, the reason, if it is true what happened, I think the reason he got away with it for so long, or people didn't have an issue, is because he's such an amazingly likable character that feels like you know him. You know what I mean? And I think that's a hard thing for people. I mean, like the Soon Yi shit, even that alone, people kind of ignored. Basically, they look past it. You know?
Are you insane?
Well,
it was like a massive controversy. You were 9, so it feels like
he wasn't canceled.
He wasn't,
but it didn't ruin his like legacy at that point. He kept on making movies that people loved. It didn't ruin his legacy.
The front page. No, you're wrong about this.
It
was on the front page of every paper and magazine for like a year. It was massive tabloid shit, and then his movies did dip hugely after that. Of course, the stuff in the 90s, Mighty Aphrodite, is that fucking. Was that a smash hit?
Bullets Over Broadway? Bullets Over Broadway was after. That was a huge hit.
I guess you're right. It was a hit, but it was never.
His legacy was I mean, the way people are fucked now. I mean, I feel like his legacy was barely tarnished.
Well, it was harder then with no social media. It was pre-cancel culture, but like certainly it is brought up for years, and it was a massive, massive, massive controversy. It was huge.
I know, but I feel like it was looked at as like this weird, crazy scandal, but it certainly wasn't looked at like, I'm never watching a Woody Allen movie again, was it?
I think for some people, it's hard. Like all things, with social media not existing, you don't hear from those people. People were always complaining. But yeah, he's obviously survived and continued to make movies, and considered a great filmmaker and beloved. And then 9/11, he was at the Oscars, which was amazing.
Exactly. So it's not
like he did survive it. Part of the reason also with the Dylan thing, the reason he survived that is because he was fucking what's the word? The legal word?
Exonerated.
Exonerated by two separate state investigations.
I also think the Soon Yi thing kind of helped him because I feel like whenever people brought up him molesting his daughter, everyone thought they were talking about Soon Yi. Because I think a lot of people did it. I think it kind of saved it because a lot of people didn't know that he actually. I didn't realize that till years later. I was reading a Mia Farrow like autobiography, and I was like, oh, like it's like the one scandal distracted from the other scandal, you know?
Right. No, and it is harder for like our generation. We kind of came up a little bit after all that. So you just went, oh, okay, I guess he married his daughter. That seems like
I guess that's
whatever.
the thing. I never thought. Yeah, I mean, it is a hard thing to realize because outrage culture or whatever wasn't really a thing back then. People didn't really get upset by things like Roman Polanski.
I think they did, but there was no place to put it.
So there was no place to fan it, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean that's the thing.
Yeah, this outrage is not new. It's just social media. You hear from the people now, and now it catches on because it's 24-hour news cycle and social media.
It gets. I mean, Roman Polanski got accused of rape. He left. I mean, Roman Polanski literally fled America from a rape charge, and then he won the Academy Award. Like, they're definitely, which as you say out loud seems a little crazy now, even though Pianist is one of the greatest movies ever. But like,
so is Chinatown.
But like, it is a different time. But you can't. I guess in conclusion, you can't. You can't deny his influence. You can pretend to, but that's just like lying to yourself.
Certainly. Well, we're going to go to fucking jail for this. We're bad people. The craziest thing that anyone said is that Hannah and Her Sisters is not a great script. I mean, it's just like mind blowing to me. I can't even like.
That's the most controversial thing said on a episode where like half the time we're like, I don't know if Woody Allen did it or not.
Well, I mean, I need like a 2-day break from our friendship. Like we can come back together on like Wednesday. This is like.
Well, it's not like we hang out every day.
We text. I don't know. We talk.
You want a text break too?
I'm talking clean break. I don't even know. I don't know what to do. Did
I finally
email
cross
some
the
clubs
line?
And have you banned?
Did I finally cross the line? That's it?
I think so. I think it's. I don't know. It's problematic. But let's do our top 3. Rank them.
It is tough when you argue movies because I'm like Manhattan. Oh no, I'm like Hannah and Her Sisters. I'm not crazy about it. Then you're like. I think of it the way it happens in the movie, where it's giving me a reason to live. You know what I mean? Like the Groucho Marx.
Yeah. So obviously that's my number 1.
Yeah.
That's probably like my 11th or 12th favorite movie ever.
Should we rank it from this, or should we just rank our like top 5 Woody Allen movies?
All right, let's do our top 5 Woody Allen movies.
Okay. All right. Let me just think for a second.
All right. Well, one of us has to talk.
All right. Here's my top 5.
Okay.
Annie Hall. Love and Death, Bullets Over Broadway, Sweet and Lowdown, and Bananas.
That list sucks. It's tough because I love so many. I'm gonna say Hannah and Her Sisters is number 1. Manhattan and Annie Hall are 2 and 3. I don't know. Flip the order, whichever one I'm watching.
Wait, I didn't realize you loved Hannah and Her Sisters that much. I didn't realize that was your favorite.
Oh, I love it. I love Everyone Says I Love You. I just love it. I love everything about it. It's so beautiful. Natalie Portman, young Natalie Portman in there.
Yeah.
Another one that would become a star. Crimes and Misdemeanors, I love. It's hard to do a top 5. I'd have to like think about it. Broadway Danny Rose is up there though. And I love Radio Days. It's just so fun and so beautiful. And I do love Match Point. But yeah, I love Purple Rose at Cairo. It's so good. Broadway Danny Rose has to be number 4 probably because it's comics sitting in a diner, which is my favorite thing ever. I love that one. And
do you know
maybe Radio Days.
Do you know which 2 movies he saw as the 2 movies that he considered his most perfect movies, by which the idea, his plan for it, his vision, he felt like he made it on the screen as close to what his vision was? Because it's not what you think. Manhattan, he was literally offered to make a movie for free if they
he hated it. Yeah,
I agree, but like so can you know what they were?
Just tell me you're fucking dumb fat.
Purple Rose of Cairo and Hollywood Ending.
Oh, I liked Hollywood Ending.
where he goes blind.
Yeah, that was fun.
Those are what he considers his two perfect movies.
Yeah, those later ones are just they're fun. They're like silly, fun, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some stink ones, but well, I thought an interesting thing they said, which of all your movies, which one is the most you? Which character is Woody Allen? And he said Mia Farrow in Purple Rose of Cairo, which I thought was fun. He loves movies.
There's one other thing I wanted to say. Oh, for me, one of the greatest moments in any Woody Allen thing is also like I don't know if you've seen, but in the documentary where he Wild Man Blues, the scene between him and his parents is one of the greatest scenes.
Oh yeah, we talked about that
of all time. If you haven't seen it, it's amazing because there's just so much going on in there. He's sitting with his parents. His parents seem just kind of awful, but like at one point everyone seems to mutually kind of resent each other, and the mother literally says to him, "I still think you could have been a good pharmacist." She just says it like literally. The Academy Awards are on the shelf of her thing, and she's like, "I think you could have been a good pharmacist."
No, and it gives you a window into what kind of upbringing this
there's
guy
a
had.
cold. They are not like you think of Jewish families as like warm, but they had a very cold Jewish family.
You do?
Yelling and warm? No.
By the way, we didn't even get to talk about it in Hannah and Her Sisters. His character, Woody Allen's character, Mickey's parents, are so beautiful and so great and so well depicted. And he goes, one of my favorite lines in any movie ever, he's talking about what happens when you die. And and his dad goes, "Who thinks about such nonsense?" How good is that? I mean, that you talk about a script. I
love the Woody Allen part. I love that part.
Who thinks about such nonsense, as in what happens when you die? The guy having an existential crisis, and his father responds, "Who thinks about such nonsense?"
Or the next line, I can't even figure out how to use a can opener.
Yeah, how do I know there's Nazis?
One of the things I always loved with Woody Allen, and you see it in his jokes, is he'll bring up a big issue, and then he'll bring something up really trivial to distract from it. And it's like the perfect metaphor for life. Like he'll have a joke like, some people think the universe is all just a construction, like it's all just an imagination made up in someone else's head. And if that's the case, I definitely overpaid for my carpet. So it's this beautiful way of bringing up these big, terrifying things, and then just kind of like flip the punchline being bringing you back to earth, you know? So he's the greatest joke writer of all time, in my opinion.
How about the joke in Manhattan? He goes, "You're so beautiful, I can barely keep my eye on the meter." In the back of a cab.
So many amazing. And also you see his Woody Allen jokes in the other characters, like the father. There's that father, what he's yelling at. Oh, not in Hannah Sisters, but Mia Farrow's father, when he's yelling at his wife, says a classic Woody Allen line where he goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm the one who fooled around. You fooled around with anyone in Actors Equity." Like everyone in Actors Equity. Like that's a classic, like, Woody Allen joke of, half the phone book or whatever.
Right. Hannah and Her Sisters, when he's like, "I don't want to get into whose fault it is. It's my fault." But
there's amazing stuff. I mean, to me, one of the greatest, if you look at it, jokes as one-liners. I mean, we don't have time to talk about it tonight, but I wish. There's so much I love about Woody Allen. I wish we could have talked about a stand-up too. But to me, if you look at it as a joke being the biggest amount of what do you call it? The biggest flip with the fewest amount of words. To me, one of the greatest jokes of all time is, "You see this watch? My grandfather on his deathbed, he sold me this watch." And like just like one word, just a one-word change to have such a great flip. To me, that's probably like the most perfect joke.
He's the greatest. I mean, he's top 5 best comics ever, and I think he's one of the great American filmmakers.
Great at film. He's great at comedy. He's great at incest. Really.
Yeah, as far as molesters go, he's like one of the most talented. But who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about anything. Sorry, everybody. I hate myself.
Are we good? Do you hate me?
I feel guilty. I feel terrible.
Like we turned into a Mark Maron episode.
We can't even put this out. I don't know. I feel so depleted and depressed. I feel like Woody. I feel like I love Woody. I mean, he shaped my life. I feel bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if he fucked a kid or molested people. I feel terrible guilt.
Well, I mean, we didn't fuck the kid. I mean, we didn't do anything.
That's a good point.
I mean, we didn't like hold her down or whatever. We're just fans, I mean, he got me into comedy. For better or for worse.
I resent him for that. But.
You're like, that's the worst thing he's ever done.
All right, we got to wrap it up. This was fun. What are we doing? I don't know. I got some gigs somewhere. I'm in Side Splitters, March 18, 19, and 20, and then back in Royersford, March 24th. So fucking come to those and subscribe. Go subscribe to this.
Oh, I got some dates too now. I got
Key West, right?
yeah, I got thanks for that hookup. I got Key West. Well, I got Royersford April 1st. And then Louisville, Kentucky. I'm going to be at the Planet of the Tapes April 9th and 10th, and Key West April 29th through May 1st. I'm fully vaccinated by then. I guess it's okay. Am I still a horrible person? I don't know.
I mean, you like Woody, you jumped the line. I don't know what the fuck. You're Jewish. You got a little ketchup on your thing too.
You're joking, right?
No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, yeah, this was a good one. Yeah, we'll get off and debate whether we're gonna post it.
And we're gonna be friends still. Yeah. All right, I'm hitting stop.